Well, I've got to. I better just tell you about my. I've had a nasty accident 5 years ago. I had a stroke, and it's. I've not been so bad since, but it's coming up. You know. Anyway.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you decide to do it in the first place, John? Waste all this money.
I don't know. I think it was the guy that did that film at the GBH Live at the Tower.
Mm-hmm.
And when those 5 bands played there, and they videoed it, and
Up Your Tower?
Up Your Tower, yeah. Yeah. You know, it took us about 6 months to get that released, and they had to say, well, why don't you pay for an advert in Sounds? And we were having to spend 30 quid, and we didn't have 30 quid. So it was a case of risking it, and we sold 5 the first Friday. There was 5 on Monday, and we had to borrow a VHS to connect to ours to make some copies. And we had 2 VHSs to start with, and very soon it started rolling, and we started selling more and more, and and you know, it was a natural explosion, really. You know, once you've done live, you want to do promos. Actually, doing promo is very very different in a way, because you've got to think about what you're doing. You're not just getting people's movement when they're playing. You're getting their movement or naturally telling a story sometimes. So it can take any route. And it just it takes forever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how did you track down all the bands though? I mean, all these sort of.
Well, I guess when we started it, we started at a time that nobody else was doing it, and you know, everyone else was mainstream. We weren't that mainstream, and the bands all came to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from '82 onwards, they came to us. You know, the first 5 years was really the mainstream of it, and it carried on from them, but it tailed off. It tailed off till about 2000, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was always somebody bringing up, wanting something done.
Well, the first recollection I have of John and Karen was when I built an early edit suite up at Reedy Fusion Training School, and after much cajoling, my boss agreed I could hire it out. And then when John and Karen turned up, he sort of said, "Where did you find them two?" And I said, "Well, Karen's one of the best editors around, and she's just getting started, and she was looking for a facility and came round, and she's down there working now." He said, "You better make sure they behave themselves."
I think I came first, didn't I? And did the first ones? Or did Karen come?
I can't remember who came first, John. Let me think. The first recollection I have was the actual edit of Night of the Hawks, where we were all learning a bit and trying to work out.
Yeah, I did Night of the Hawks.
But Karen was there.
Ah, she.
Yeah.
Mm.
Karen was definitely involved in Night of the Hawks, which is still probably Hawkwind were at their best when that was recorded. I mean, I don't think the lineup ever got any better than that.
No, with Nick Turner in, and
yeah, Nick Turner was something special, wasn't it?
Yeah. Where do you sort of start?
That wouldn't have happened without me. Of course not.
There wouldn't be such a thing as Jettisoundz.
Well, there wouldn't, would there? You thought of the name, didn't
That's
you?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Well, you are. And what do you think about the tape we've got together? The things.
Good. Well, really good. It's exciting. It's nice to see. I just think a lot of creativity and where's it all gone now? You know.
Yeah.
That was working on a shoestring. I think. You know, with the low budget things, artistic flair. I think. And it shines through on a lot of the stuff. And some really good bands as well that you hardly hear about nowadays. And where they all gone?
Yeah.
It's nice. It's sort of captured an era that's sort of a bit lost, really. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on in the 80s that, obviously with Duran Duran and all that sort of stuff, and Spandau Ballet and all the sort of bigger bands. But there was a really nice undercurrent of sort of cult bands and stuff that, that hardly get any recognition nowadays. They did some really good music.
Yes. And how did you get a camera? Did
You handed it me.
Well, yeah.
So John, have a go on this and see
Yeah.
what you do. It was basically, that was it not the Turnpike Cruises TV show?
Oh,
Seems
yeah,
to remember, in the
yeah.
studio. I think we were just up there. I haven't been there long, and all I was doing was just copying tapes.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember it was just a case of John, have a go on this.
Yeah.
And, which I did. And then it kind of snowballed from there, really.
Yeah.
I seemed to be able to do it, point it in the right direction.
Yeah.
Oh, look, that's focused. Way!
Yeah.
And it kind of built from there, really.
Yeah.
And, and then we moved on from there. I can't remember it entirely, but I think we went to Birmingham or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And started filming a lot of psychobilly bands.
Right.
I seem to remember people like the Beaches were there.
Yeah. That'll be the one that didn't nick the
They
tapes.
took the tapes off us, exactly, yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And some big burly blokes suddenly turned up and said, we're having those tapes. I can't remember the name of the bloke. I remember standing there with this bloke thinking, should we say something? And then we looked at these guys. Let's not be brave on that one.
Yeah.
And so they took the tapes. But I think that was the first time I got on the camera. I seem to remember, was not Queenie with us?
Yeah, he would be. Yeah.
I seem to remember saying, that's really good, John. I think I was doing the sides camera or something, side of stage. And that kind of gave me a bit of inspiration. Oh, I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And so we all had a good crack.
Yeah. I suppose the Meteors were the popular Jettisoundz band. They were the band that, apart from the Turnpike Cruisers, but they were the band that stood out the most because they had the most promos on the label. And the key in with Hawkwind came from Richard Bishop. He said he'd had an approach from Hawkwind to make a video, and he thought we'd be good for to make it. That was after we did the I Know Rocks one in Nottingham in '83 or '84, and it was '83 that, yeah. And we made the first. So he put us forward, and we. Went off and filmed it in '83. That was a special one for us. We did Hawkwind 6 times over the years. The last one is still in the edit suite, as it were. There's only 5 out on the label.
I mean, you didn't seem to do that many promos though, did you?
We didn't.
A lot of live stuff.
Yeah, but all the live stuff was really early in the history of the label. The first couple of years really. with the majority of the punk thing, but the label widened out eventually and just did everything. When I think of the types of music we did, you know, I like everything, don't I? Yeah, I must do.
And you had sort of a big hit with about toy dolls, Nellie the Elephant of all things.
Yeah,
getting on TV.
Yeah, we did.
That was a bit of a flash in the pan, really. Wasn't
Yeah. That was hitting on the. It got to number 3 in the charts, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at the same time, our video "Down the Elephant" was number 1 over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the video charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in the number 1 in the video jukeboxes.
Yeah. And you worked with the Mac lads, of course.
Well, yeah, the Mac lads for your penances. Fucking hell.
You're not allowed to swear. They did enough of that.
Yeah. Well, you have to do something, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, they became massive though, didn't they?
They did become big, yeah.
And some of the gigs, was it that place in Birmingham, which was a huge place we filmed there. That was madness.
Yeah.
Is it the Phoenix or something?
Oh God. Do you remember the last place we filmed them was the that place in Liverpool?
Mm-hmm.
That big theatre in Liverpool.
Oh, it might be that. Yeah, I might get mixed up. Yeah.
It was massive.
Yeah, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And they sold out of everything, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Oh.
Yeah, it's who'd have thought?
Yeah. Oh well.
Shortly after that, Radio Fusion shut down, and I decided to start my own company and established an edit suite in St Anne's. At the time, St Anne's was a bit of a video city, really. There were about 5 production companies inside St Anne's, which was quite unusual for such a small town. And I set up a little edit suite, and Karen got to using it, and John got to using it, and we had a good few years of quite interesting work going on. Some of it which I don't really realise how Karen did the edits even now, because we only had 2 machines, and it looked like there were at least 3 machines involved when she'd finished, and I'm still puzzled as to just how she cut some of those edits. Needle gun, yeah. Michael Moorcock was there, great British author of science fantasy, or I think we'll call it. And of course, one of the great things there was I had to nip down to Euston Station and get a £1,000 cheque before they'd let us put the cameras on stage, and it all got a bit close to the deadline before we could actually record that. But it was, I think, one of the great sort of rock operas, really, that became almost, with the dancers and Michael Moorcock doing the narration, to produce a musical interpretation of the Chronicle of the Black Sword, which was one of my favourite books.
Yeah, as well.
Robin Hitchcock, yeah. Probably one of the, in terms of Jettisoundz, a bit mainstream, really. Robin Hitchcock, sort of almost not quite making it to the top of the British music scene, really, with a very big following. And I think it was at the old, can't remember the venue.
Marquee Club.
The old Marquee Club, when it was the Marquee Club, when it was a great rock venue or a great music venue. And of course, we had a multiple camera lot, camera unit, and I think we hired that from a hire company that subsequently went bankrupt, and I think we helped them, because I don't think we paid the bill.
Oh dear me. Yeah.
Well, the Rollchans were pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
American.
quite, yeah.
We did them in New York.
Yeah, and the Inca Babies.
Yeah, yeah.
Turnpike Cruisers, of course. But I just, I mean the Meteors, you know, I sort of riding the crest of all the psychobilly stuff,
Yeah.
which was pretty big. You know, you don't hear about any of it nowadays. It's sort of gone. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still like Reverend Horton Heat and various other bands sort of cropping up who sort of doing that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have the same energy.
No.
It doesn't have the punk sensibility that it had in those days. I think.
No.
I mean, that came out of punk, and it's people who didn't want to get into hardcore, but wanted to stay with punk's roots in rock and roll, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's all nice, just seeing all these, you know, all this footage of bands enjoying themselves as well.
yeah.
It's done for fun.
Yes, for sure.
The Hawkwind are in there, and you know, and again, sort of cool. I mean, they're still about, still recognised, but they sort of, I don't know, they've driven sort of psychedelic rock and roll and heavy metal for 40 years now, and
Yeah, yeah.
it just shows, and they come across, you know, you can see why. When
Yeah.
you see the footage of them.
Yeah,
I mean, total theatre,
yeah,
absolutely incredible.
yeah. The dance element at the end.
Well, that was sort of before it all. That was at the beginning, almost, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I mean, I was there. I must admit, I was there for days and days, weeks, working at that place. But yeah, I think you got a time capsule with that. I mean, K-Class went on to great things. They did mixes for everyone after that, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of big names. There's a K-Class. There's loads of K-Class mixes out there.
Right.
But that was like a proper show.
Yeah.
You know, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before, and I think nothing anybody else had seen before. It was the first, probably the biggest event of its kind.
Yeah.
It was,
I remember doing Cud
Oh
in
yeah.
a field at the back of Queensway
Right.
in the rape field,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and I think that was just a spur of the moment thing. Myself and Karen went. It must have been arranged, but to me it seemed quite spur of the moment. John, we're going out filming. Kind of thing. What are we? And then we went out and filmed Cud at the back of Queensway, saying this rape field. Sat on, must have been your car or something.
Really?
We sat on the roof trying to film down, because of course the rape field, we wanted as much yellow as possible. We didn't want the cars
yeah.
go around, so we decided to film down would be the best option. And of course,
Yeah,
going
yeah,
over
yeah.
the thing, we had to get high.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it was your car, or it might have been their van, but we stood on something.
Yeah.
Down and filming down, and that was a good day.
Yeah.
Literally for a few hours. But at the pub that night, I remember a few people saying, "I saw you stood at the back of the Queensway on top of a van filming someone." I know, yeah, that was good. Good advertising for good one. And yeah, I remember that one. And I think we filmed them live in Leeds as well.
Yeah, you filmed it live in Leeds, and then you went about 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Different
I remember
times.
that,
Probably went to the flats or something.
Yes, I do remember in Leeds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I do remember, because can't remember his name, but the tallish bloke, not the singer. I think he might have been the drummer. The little BSA Bentham.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, I was quite into my motorbikes.
Yeah,
He took us downstairs. I seem to remember we filmed him. Sat on him playing with it. And he was,
Yeah.
"Oh, look at this, my BSA."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah. And then there was Horse London.
Yeah.
And that was
London.
God, that was me and you going down to London constantly, here and there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You go down for 2 or 3 days. I go down, pick you up, maybe do a bit of filming, then come back, then stay in the next weekend. I remember that.
Yeah.
And but again, I mean, it sounds, you kind of look back thinking, "Oh God, that was time," but it was good fun.
It was.
It's not something you're going to repeat. It's just a little chapter that was really entertaining.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of people down there doing. There was lots of fun with the band, because they're all quite their own characters, weren't they?
Yeah.
The guitarist was a bit up front, Welsh, I believe.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
A bit up front. But it was a good crack. Good crack. Quite entertaining.
Gary's gone to Australia.
Is he?
Yeah. He's Australian now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Sure, alright. That's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's the Oz. Yeah. Think back. Oh, there was one with the Meteors. Because they were quite an up front bunch.
Yeah.
Young lads getting just being up front. And we were filming, I can't remember which promo, but which song it was. But we were filming in this old warehouse. One of the lads had known it for some reason. I think they'd have parties there, biking parties and all that. And they said it'd make a good, industrial kind of background. So they set this fire in the middle, which I think was probably the problem in the end. So there was loads of smoke coming off it, and then we, I think it was myself and Karen. Gosh, I'm not sure. There probably was someone else, but I can't remember. And we were filming them doing all sorts of things, entertaining. Nothing special. But just as we were leaving, 2 police vans started to appear. And you've got to remember this derelict site was in the middle of nowhere, so they couldn't have been going anywhere else really, except to where we were. So obviously someone had probably seen the smoke or something, or seen a few biker boys hanging around with motorbikes and custom cars there and all that, and complained. So we were leaving just as they were turning off, so we were chuckling, we'd just beaten them because they'd have stopped. And then of course, thinking to a similar subject, we were in America. Fridge Too Far tour. With GBH. You should probably remember.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a promo, obviously. That was a full concert.
Yeah.
And the police turning up. Now I was oblivious to this on stage at the time, until later on when we were being told you've got to stop. And the police turned up and surrounding the whole of the building from the inside. And you looked up and you just see the copper, because there's so many gang members there. Very tense, hyper atmosphere. To me, I hadn't really noticed because I was a bit hyper myself in those days anyway. It was very hyper intense. And that was quite a bizarre one, because suddenly they're filming away 2 or 3 songs in, and then someone saying, "Carefully, get your equipment off the stage and go around the back," and there's police everywhere and there's no tension. Nothing happened though, I seem to remember. I don't think no one stormed the stage or anything. It was a case of stopping.
It was very close, but nothing did happen. It was very close. It could have been enormous, the problem there.
Well, there's all gangs, wasn't it? Cribs and these people.
What about the raves that you did, John? Did you do just the one rave?
No, we did several after that. There's about 3 or 4 after it, and there was 3 or 4 before it at that motorway service station.
Charnock Richard.
Charnock Richard. It was just up from there. God, that was a pretty hot summer. What's it, 92?
Must have been around that, yes.
Yeah. But for a couple of years we did it, and there was, for us, in the middle of it was Juice. In a circus big top in Morecambe, and it took a bloody week to put together that, and only a day to happen as a gig, but it was a good one. God, by TV. It was our offices. It was that we did first a cable show. Like it was pretty mad. Karen wrote it all, and Mark came over. Mark from Paris, and he came over for when we started doing the 6 by TV, and he prepared and gave you more of a feel, and yeah, there was people in our office doing all kinds of things, from you know, yeah, it was awful, but it was good.
Being in the music business is, I mean, it's a fairly, how can I put it? It's a fairly dodgy thing to be in a business, and you did have one or two problems. Was it Rough Trade who?
Yeah.
What happened with Rough Trade?
Rough Trade went to the wall, basically. They just went to the wall and didn't pay anybody. Well, not what they were supposed to pay them. We ended up getting stung for that, and you know, in the end, we ended up going to the wall as well, owing masses of money, loads of money. We had the BPI and everybody then. Yeah, that was a sad time. Was that? That was a sad time. Yeah.
But then you sort of got yourself together and you started again.
We did a deal with Cherry Red. Cherry Red bought their catalogue, and it allowed us to keep half of it, and we became the partners. It was a very good deal. Yeah, fantastic deal.
I mean, Cherry Red seemed to have been a mainstay for you for a few years.
Cherry Red had been brilliant. They've been our saviour, if you like. They've been all the things that you want in a partner. Cherry Red were.
And of course it wasn't a one-way street, because every now and then Cherry Red would come up with a cherished project and say, John, you better do this one. And I remember something like 700 football matches in a week we did.
Oh, that was 7 football matches in 2 days. Yeah, that was incredible. Yeah. 7 in 2 days, 4 in the first day, and 3 in the second day. One weekend, and it was yeah, fantastic to do. Yeah, fantastic.
Who was the guy who fronted that?
Ian McNay. Yeah.
No, the guy who appeared in camera, who was ex-Granada TV.
Oh, God, I can't remember his name.
Claimed he'd smothered his lover a few months back, didn't
God,
he?
Yeah.
But he was Gosling, wasn't it?
Ray Gosling.
Ray Gosling.
Yeah.
What a great guy, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, one of the outstanding events I remember was Michelle Shot, which was, I think, was at the Town and Country in London. And this little waif of a girl appeared on stage and just brought a guitar out and sat down, started to play, and 2 hours later everybody was just spellbound with the song she put out, and she was quite a remarkable artist, I think.
Yeah, she was. Did you do The Exploited?
Exploited? Oh yes. Sexual Favours. I remember that record, that particular track. Yes, the recording equipment was off to the left of stage, and Richard King was guarding it with his back and his coat, because there was all sorts of things flying across the video recorders that wouldn't have done him any good. And then of course we went up to Morecambe to do probably one of the best raves certainly one of the best raves I've been to, because I've not been to many, but it certainly turned out to be one hell of a night. I can remember when we were rigging, was only me and Colin Harper, who were the two oldest guys on the crew, would climb up into the top of the big top to rig the cables. All the young lads said, "I'm not going up there." And we got it all rigged, and it went on all day. Fantastic. I remember when we were closing up, the police arrived, and the guys who ran it were just bringing the crowd down, as they do at the end of a rave, and quietly calming them down and calming them down. And this stupid policeman came in and said, "They said they'd be out by 3 and they're not out, we better get them moving." And luckily the inspector who was in charge said, "Look, these guys know what they're doing, leave them to it." And of course, as that usually happens, everybody just went home having had a great time. I think I watched some of the edits that Karen did and some of the promos they shot, and I think in terms of when it was produced, the Cherry Bombs promo was just right up to date, slick editing, the sort of editing that was coming out of London at the time and was being done in a little town in St Anne's, in my little tiny edit suite. I was quite proud to be not so much involved in that, but just to enable it to happen. I thought it was a great promo. I think there isn't a track on this particular release, but one of the great things that I remember was going down to London to the garage and seeing Link Ray in probably one of his last performances. I would imagine he was an old man then, and he just came out and struck up the first notes of Rumble, and the crowd was from all over Europe. We were interviewing people from France and Holland and Germany. Loads of people had come to London just to see Link Ray, and he hit Rumble and the whole crowd just took off. And I remember young kids, sort of where I was working the camera, there were young kids at the side, and they were saying, "He's an old git, but it's fantastic." And I think Link Ray was probably one of the happiest shoots I went on, because it was a bit, nostalgic really for rock and roll. And it came back from, one of the earliest artists that there ever was, and a very influential artist he was, but didn't appear to make a lot of money, just seemed to keep jobbing along as a lot of the old rock and rollers did.
Yeah, I think that's very true, Bob. Very true, that.
Genesis in Brighton.
Yeah.
The Are You Experienced? I think we ended up going to Derek Jarman's
Yeah.
house on the front and filming Are You Experienced, which was that not his daughter or his partner's daughter?
No, it was Genesis's daughter.
Genesis's daughter.
Gina Caress. Yeah.
That was it, Caress,
Yeah.
Doing Jimi Hendrix song in the Stick Garden of Derek Jarman.
Yeah.
Which was a bit controversial, I seem to remember. We were like afterwards. I mean, but to be fair to Genesis, there was nothing controversial to us. It was just entertaining, the kid having fun in a stick. But I think if you read deeper, I think you could see the controversy. We white people picked up on it, but at the time it certainly wasn't. And Derek Jarman's a nice bloke.
Yeah. It was a shame he died.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, for myself, I know it lasted longer for you, didn't it? And it started earlier, obviously.
Yeah.
But there was a kind of a period of, I think I was there for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And obviously it was also a learning curve, because I was trying to learn camera as well at the time.
Yeah.
And it just seemed quite intense at the time I was there. And I think Jettisoundz was trying to grow as well.
Yeah.
Expand. So there was a lot more going on in that brief period that I was.
Yeah.
And then obviously it carried on before, and as I say, but it was certainly entertaining. I don't think there was any... A bit stressful at times. Because obviously learning anything is always a bit stressful, and I was quite happy myself then. So that didn't help as such at the time. But memory-wise, looking back, it was still a good crack. Oh yes, still a good crack.
Yeah, I think you've got it there with a good crack, John.
Yeah, it was a good crack. Yeah. And as you know, you've got it all sat behind you. I mean, there's a whole chapter.
Sat
there.
Yeah.
On the walls in tape.
Yeah.
There's got to be something's got to be done. You can't just let it waste away.
No.
So at some point, someone will look back and think, "Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I've seen this." And word will grow. And
Yeah.
I'm sure he will. If you don't, I will. I'll have a go. When I get some time, of course.
Yeah, right.
Kids.
Yeah.
I just think they were glad to, at the time, to be documented. I think that's a nice thing that you got stuff there that
Yeah.
you know, which nobody else would probably have really taken much notice of, because with the usual music business sensibility, unless you know, it's just not worth it. You know, to spend the time and energy. But it's there now, and there's a lot more of it to mine, which is good because it's history.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think the fact that this was done draws attention to the whole era of music that otherwise probably would have gone unnoticed. I mean, who else was doing it? There's Icon doing live concerts, maybe a couple of other smaller units doing this and that, but it isn't like the days of YouTubers now when everybody's at it. There's nobody else really doing this, not at this level, promo-wise.
No, there wasn't. I would say we were a class of our own.
Yeah, oh definitely.
We were a class of our own, all right.
Yeah, I mean, the live stuff, recording on live stuff, that was more saleable, but this was just, it's almost madness to do it, because you don't make any money out of making promos. Well, listen, you get paid for them now and again, but...
We got paid for some of them,
but a lot of the time it was just a chance to do something. Or to put programs together or whatever. And
we just got the kit and we were desperate at using it.
Yeah, just ran away with it,
Yeah.
And it's, you know, every credit, it's a good job you did, really.
Yeah.
I mean, sure there'll be a lot of bands out there who would probably be, you know, be very pleased. They probably don't even know. Probably forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And then the other one was that I remember is the Mystery Channel
Yes.
up in Scotland.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah. Oh, flipping heck.
We had some wild weekends with that, didn't we?
We did have some wild weekends, yeah.
But we did meet some interesting people.
We did meet, yeah.
Sitting down to breakfast next to a girl who had a crystal skull. And she said it was one from Atlantis, and if she could find the other 6 or 7, she'd be the most powerful person in the world.
Dear me.
And then we had the American ex-admiral of the 6th Fleet or something who believed he could find stargates and take you out into space. Do you remember him?
Yeah, they were flipping, you know. What was it? The Temple of Lodge.
Yeah.
That was behind it all, and the Templars had been going through the Middle Ages in this country and Europe, and you know, they've been a long time at it. Yeah.
And so we come to your, you might call it post-illness career, where you were ill, and yet you've never stopped, and you're still producing. Now, one of the things that interested me was we used to go and we used to get some marvellous soundtracks, but of course everything was VHS in those days. So when it came out on the VHS, it was nothing like the actual soundtrack we had. And then along came DVDs. Now you must have been absolutely delighted that at last you'd have something that could carry the sound from your promos and your tapes and your videos.
Yeah, well, it's been one of the things I've done whilst I've been ill is I've transferred all the copies of tapes of VHS and U-matic and Digibeta or all the rest of it onto hard drive, and I would say, you know, it's good that we're on the hard drive, but I think all this is finished really now. We're waiting for the next thing to arrive, and you know, it's probably going to be, there's going to be nothing here, because it's with music, it's going to be download only, and you know, that's what it's heading for, download only, and I think that's where music's going, and you know, it's an uncomfortable point. We're probably in two years or so of you know, of the next point of the, you know, that's starting properly.
So how will you make money from downloads? You notice I'm interested in the money, not the music.
Oh, you made money from downloading them. Each time you download, it's just like selling one of those. You know, you'll make money from it, and you'll make money when it all goes online, and when, you know, it's online, and you know, it's so easy to be online because space isn't a factor. You know, there's just no factor. That'll be the case.
Well, I think we're just about finished our time, John, so it's been nice speaking to you.
Well, yeah. That'll be it. Bye-bye.